Villa, and a lot of people are talking about them maybe even pushing for a Champions League place. The only thing I'd say is you've got Europe, haven't you?
Yeah.
And that's the reason I put Tottenham above Villa, because I think Emery's record in Europe is unbelievable, and he should. I think Villa can win that and should win that. What West Ham did last year. So I think you will go right to the wire in that competition. That's why I thought Tottenham, with no European football, could finish above Villa.
I think the thing is with Emery, though, is that he is accustomed to having a side playing in Europe. So I think that shouldn't really be a problem. You look at the players that we've signed. We've got Diego Carlos, won the Europa League. Pau Torres won the Europa League. Tielemans played in the Champions League. So over the course of our whole squad, we have got international players and players that have played in Europe as well. So I don't really think it should be too much of a problem to have an effect on our Premier League form either.
That whets the appetite. Hello and welcome to Up the Villa podcast, and welcome to the first match preview of the season. We have got stacked content for 38 plus game weeks, European, League Cups, FA Cups, the lot. We are here for the long haul, and I am so excited for this season. I'm joined by Justin. How are you, mate?
Great, mate. Nice to see somebody giving Jamie Carragher a run for his money as well. Give him some shit.
I had a great time, to be fair. It was fantastic to be on the overlap. And yeah, I'm really grateful that I can be in this position to talk Aston Villa on any stage, but the biggest stage to talk Aston Villa is on this channel, Up the Villa podcast. Get on this journey with us, Villa fans. If you are new, we got loads of content, like I say, coming, and your support is absolutely massive. So share your thoughts in the comment section down below. Drop this video a like and subscribe. So probably the most basic match preview we will do all season, because we have no graphics on how teams are going to set up. We've got no graphics on how they've played in their previous Premier League game. So blank canvas, we don't know what we're going to get. But let's talk Villa. I am going to be going to St James's Park on Saturday night, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a very, very difficult game. Both teams are on that upward trajectory. They are there. They are kicking about Europe. Newcastle Champions League, fantastic season last season. So with their raucous atmosphere there, it's going to be electric for them. Big season for them, because although they've got Champions League football, they've still, like us, got aspirations to do well in the Premier League. So the similarities between the two clubs and the ambition of both two clubs are pretty similar. So, I don't like this little needle Villa fans have got with Newcastle. I just think that's just ridiculous. We don't need to have it. I think it's two clubs aspiring to break that mould of the top six, the top seven. And weirdly, I saw on social media earlier that they put something like the Big Seven, and Villa weren't in the Big Seven, even though Villa last season finished 7th, but we're still not in the Big Seven. So it's going to be a difficult game, but I'm really looking forward to it. I think Villa have had a fantastic pre-season. We've recruited really well. I still think we've got more to come as well. And as a Villa fan, you've just got to be excited, because we've got a fantastic manager, and he's a genius. And when I'm talking to Villa fans, and even when I was talking to their different content creators on the overlap, they were all saying the same thing. Like, you're going to have a fantastic season. You're really going to be challenging. I'm really worried about Villa. Like, everybody's talking about Aston Villa really challenging. So I think that's a testament to where we are. So, Justin, how are you feeling ahead of our trip to St James's Park?
Yeah, I'm ready. I am ready for this now. We are ready for it. The club's ready for it. The manager's ready for it. The players are busting their gut ready for it. I bet they cannot wait to walk out at St James's Park on Saturday afternoon. And I just think it's a fantastic fixture for us, if I'm brutally honest. I think, it's a good tester early doors, away from home. We lost there last season, obviously, but it was under difficult circumstances, having lost the manager, and we lost Martinez as well to a concussion, and it was a difficult day. So I can't read anything into that. So we are going to be a totally different, as they found out later in the season when they came to Villa Park, we are a totally different entity now, aren't we? And it's going to be great. And I'm with you. I think this is two teams that are trying to now break that elite mould. They'll never put us in the big seven, mate. What they'll do is they'll say there's a big eight. They will not be relegating any of them teams out of any kind of big naming. So, yeah, it's good. It's we're ready for it. We are in a good place. We've had a good pre-season. We've signed some good players. Most of the squad, 99% of the squad, are fit and healthy and raring to go. And I don't fear anybody this season. I mean, I don't fear anyone anyway. Normally, I'm always thinking we're going to beat everyone. But genuinely, this season, I think we should be confident of going into every single game. And if we are anywhere near our best, which I expect us to be more often than not, then teams are going to find it very difficult to get anything out of Villa this season. And I am there for that all day long.
Yeah, it's gonna be. It feels, and I've said this from the minute the fixtures came out, I would much prefer to play a team like this than play someone like Luton Town away or Burnley away. I would much prefer, because I think what you're going to get. You've got to be up for it. You've got to be bang at it. You can't have any sort of levels dip. It's got to be bring your A game because of the cauldron of noise and the euphoria around Newcastle. And I think that is going to play into our hands a little bit, because we're not a walkover team. We set up differently per opposition. And I think it is going to be a close game. I really do think it is going to be a close game. But if we have a little look at the recruitment from both teams, and I actually feel like the recruitment from both teams in this window is kind of on par with each other. I think if you look at Newcastle, they've signed Tonali, who I think is going to be a really good central midfielder. I think he will have to adapt slightly to the pace of the Premier League, which we saw in that friendly when I think Buendia and McGinn were bumping him off the ball. On par with that, Villa have signed Tielemans. They've signed Barnes as a winger, and Aston Villa have signed Moussa Diaby, which I think, again, they've got Premier League experience in Barnes, and we've got more of a live wire, an unpredictable player that's not played in this league yet. So I think the two of those could be quite comparable. And then Aston Villa have gone out and signed a out-and-out ball-playing centre-back, and Newcastle have signed full-back in Livramento, who I know you like quite a lot, Justin. So if you look at the three players that both teams have brought in, they're kind of like very similar to me. So, and that's why I'm saying it's going to be a tight game, because I don't really think that there is a great deal between the whole squad of each team. I think, they've got a little bit more firepower with two strikers in Isak and Wilson. And then I think the midfield's pretty much on parish. And then I think our defence, I'd probably say, is slightly stronger. So I think both squads are, pretty decent. And I think when people are saying Newcastle, they're still going to be up there, can they get Champions League? They're going to be in the Champions League. I think they will be in and around where they want to be. And I think Villa will be in and around where everybody's comparing us to be as well. So I don't think when you're sort of looking at these sort of, saying Villa are going to get top six, it's kind of like a lot's got to happen. I think it's very achievable. And the same I would probably say about Newcastle and their aspirations, really. So what would you make on my recruitment comparison?
Yeah, I would. I did a bit of research before we came on, and the two big signings are Tonali and Barnes, aren't they? And they are going to be straight away, first choice in and around that first team. And I don't know a lot about the Tonelli, if I'm honest. So I know that we sort of did a job on him in that friendly, didn't we? Knocked him off the ball when dear, wasn't it? Brushed him off and then ran through. Harvey Barnes is a good pickup, obviously. Very good play. Get him anywhere near his best, and he's one of the better wingers in the Premier League. I think he scored twice on the last friendly they had. They've had some half decent results in the friendlies as well, so very similar to us. They beat Villarreal 4-0. Barnes scored twice. They beat Fiorentina, Brighton, drew with us, obviously, drew with Chelsea. So they've had a good pre-season, very similar to us, really. They go into it as buoyed because they've got this Champions League, coming this season as well, so the fans are going to be boisterous. It's going to be a really, really good test. We're not going to lose anything on the first game of the season. So, for me, this season with Villa, the buzzword for me is expectation. We've got to manage our expectation. The fans are expecting it. I think the players are expecting it. I saw Tyrone Mings coming out saying, we want top four, we want to put a trophy on the cabinet. So that the club's expectations are high now as well. And they've got to manage this heightened level now, week in, week out. And the only way you do that and keep people from sort of criticising you is get results on the pitch. And if we can go and get a really good, solid opening day result at St James's, then that's going to really, really push our sort of chances and what everybody thinks of us in the league as well, probably up another level, because Newcastle were the standout surprise package of last season, comfortably in that top four and qualify for the Champions League. So if we can put a marker down and maybe go there and even beat them on Saturday night, then people are going to start thinking, okay, Villa are really, really meaning business this season. A lot of people have tipped us up. A lot of people like what we're doing. A lot of people love the manager. They saw what we did last season. That goes out of the window when that first whistle blows on Saturday night. It is irrelevant what we've done in the past. It is irrelevant what we've done in pre-season. It's irrelevant what the 11 is on the pitch. The only way to keep momentum going now is to get results. So that is the most important thing this weekend, is, for me, not losing the game. And I know we're going to go out and try and win it. So if we can get 3, fantastic. Don't lose it. That'll be okay as well. Solid start.
Yeah.
But I think, they're going to be ready and raring to go, aren't they?
Can we just start the season off positively? Can we just have a start to a season where we're not crap?
We don't have a first day meltdown.
That is all I want. That is all I want, just to start the season off well, because it feels like I can't even remember the last time we started. Well, I think it was it the Dino season behind closed doors?
We normally play one of the up teams that have just been promoted, and then we're up there with our expectations, and then we get beat, and then we're down on the floor again. So this is why I think this is a perfect fixture for us. I really do. It's two teams that played each other recently pre-season, know a lot about each other, both be a lot of respect between the two sides as well on Saturday, but both will be going all guns blazing to win this game and put that early marker down in the Premier League.
Yeah, and 2 managers going head to head, where one has the winning record and the other has the losing record. Unai Emery has gone head to head against Eddie Howe 4 times, and he has 4 victories to his name. So, I mean, I was on the overlap the other day, and the question from Carragher was he doesn't think that Villa can manage Europe and the Premier League to get 6th place. Now, for me, I think that question is kind of like a false narrative when we've seen what our manager can do. We've seen that our manager can win European trophies and still be okay in the league. I look at Newcastle and I think surely that question should be fired over that direction a little bit. And what I mean by that is Unai Emery in the Europa Conference League will be on that touchline with a cigar, because that competition is far weaker than any European competition that he has been in and has won. Now, my sort of thing with Newcastle and Eddie Howe is Eddie Howe's never managed a team in Europe before, so we do not know how tactically an Eddie Howe side can look in Europe. And I think the level of competition between the Conference League to the Champions League is absolutely worlds apart. You know, I mean, the clubs in the Champions League are massive. So how they look in that and then the Premier League, I'm very, very interested to see how they can do, because I think they had a fantastic season last season and the season before we galvanised them. But for me, I've still got a little inkling in my head that for where Newcastle are going, I don't think Eddie Howe will be that manager to ultimately take them to the pinnacle and that top level. So that's my honest thoughts regarding Eddie Howe. I think at the minute it's sort of on that upward trajectory, and they're yet to have that little plateau or that very difficult period. So I'm really intrigued to see how they do this season. That's not to say that I think they're going to have a poor season. I still think they are going to be, you know, top end in and around where we are all season, to be fair. And I think if I was to look at the two managers, I still think we've got the far superior manager than what Newcastle have got. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest differential between the two sides for me, like you say, is the manager. That's the could be the critical factor. You know, those key decisions at key moments in the game, that, you know, that little formation, that tactical, you know, input before the game from Emery that can pick something up and learn something from that 3-3 draw with Newcastle. You know, that could be the difference between winning and not winning this game. The difference in Champions League to the Conference League is, I think, like you say, quality of sides, intensity as well. You know, these are massive games, huge audiences, lots of pressure. So I think the best way of looking at it for me is you look at what Man City do. They are, Pep Guardiola is an expert at managing sides. I know he's got a big squad, but he tends to get himself in a decent position in the league, and then he lets the league forms tick over, and then sort of attacks the cup competition, especially the Champions League, to make sure he gets through each of the stages to get to the knockouts. They get themselves comfortably in a position in the group stages, and then they ease off them, and they can sort of rest players, rotate players, and then they'll concentrate back on the league, make sure they're picking 3 or 4 wins up in a row again there. I mean, we saw at the end of the season, you know, they had a big catch-up job to do on Arsenal, but then all of a sudden, you know, they qualified into the latter stages of all the cup competitions, more or less, and then he went, okay, we're putting those to bed now, we're going to concentrate on the league now, and then they had a real kick on in the league. So it is about managing expectations, it's about managing your squad, it's about knowing how strong to go in each of the games. That's, you know, what important games. Obviously, if it's a straight knockout, you've got to go fairly strong in at least the first leg. If you get comfortable leads in first legs, then, you know, you can weaken it up a little bit in the second leg. And with 5 substitutions and a big squad, there's nothing stopping you changing things if it's not going well in the second legs. These are all factors that Unai Emery knows everything about. You know, he hasn't just managed in Europe. He's managed 4 sides throughout the whole of a campaign and won it 4 times. So he knows the start of each of these tournaments, how to bed yourself in and get yourself comfortable. He knows how to get through the tricky sort of middle stages where, you know, a lot of people take their eye off the ball and maybe concentrate too much on the league. And then when it gets really, really into the latter stages of these competitions, he knows how to win a knockout game. He knows how to set a team up to win a one-off game against anybody. I don't care who we play, anybody in any of the cup competitions. I would back us to go, you know, get toe-to-toe with anybody. So in that respect, I am totally at ease with Unai Emery in charge of this club. He's got so much experience behind him. And I think if Newcastle fans were brutally honest, they would probably prefer having Unai Emery in the dugout this season, because of his experience and what he brings. You know, not to say that Eddie Howe won't do a good job, but he's got a lot of expectation on his shoulders. And if his league form was to drop off going into the early stage of the Champions League, coming up against some really, really tough sides in that, they could find themselves in a bit of bother. You know, so, you know, it's about ticking over in the league, getting ourselves in that top sort of 8, teams, I would say, early doors within the first 8 to 10 games, and then we can sort of then relax a little bit and start concentrating when the cup competitions come round and trying to get ourselves in a good position to go through in each of the rounds in the cups. It's going to be fascinating, mate. It is going to be so fascinating to watch
It
how it
is.
all evolves.
And one thing that's going to be very different at the start of the season is the injury time. We've seen across the whole of the Football League that there has been 9, 12, 13 minutes of added on time. So I think for the start of the season, until maybe they get to grips with how it should be done properly, we are going to be playing this game at St James's Park, in my opinion, for about 15 minutes over the normal time, I think. So,
Not for him Martinez has anything to do with it.
Well, the thing is, they were speaking about this on the overlap, and they did mention that Martinez was one of the players that does waste a bit of time. And I know that there's a few people that comment on this channel that it really bugs them that he does it. So I think we are going to start to see a shift in that as well, and the way in which we try and slow the game down, because there's literally no point, because it's getting added on at the end of the game. And I think what it is going to do is, if you're a team that's in the ascendancy and it's maybe you might be leading 1-0, you grab a goal in sort of like the 89th minute, you've got another like probably 12 minutes maybe to get the winner. So, you know, I think that adjusting to that and watching that and seeing that board go up for that first time, and it's got a large number on, it's going to feel like Derby again back at Wembley. So what's your thoughts on it? Because I know I did this thing last season where I think it was on one of the episodes that I think I showed that the ball was in play in the Premier League. I can't remember the number, but it was below 60. It was below 60 minutes that the ball was in play. So what's your overriding thoughts on that?
I think it's an interesting move. I think we've seen these things come from time to time. There's always 1 or 2 rule changes that are implemented at the start of a season, and you have to get used to them. I like it, if I'm honest, and I think as the season progresses, teams will just stop doing it, stop trying to waste time, because they're basically going to get punished. So the managers are going to start saying to them, "It's utterly pointless doing that now, because they're only going to add it on. So don't bother." There's going to be other ways around it. I would hope they will find, once the ball's in play, then that's a way, because the stopwatch stops, doesn't it? It's from the second a goal goes in, for example, they're celebrating, and that from till the game's kicked off again, they add that on. If the ball goes out of play for a goal kick, and the keeper, like we've seen with Emmy, messes about. So it might be that we just get the ball into play like we like to do anyway, and just knock it around, between the back four for a bit, and try and do that way. So possession really is going to be the saviour of us, and we are becoming a very good possession-based side. So hopefully we can start finding other ways of sort of negating this problem. But I like it. I think it's something that has to be done. We all pay decent money to go and watch football, so you want the ball in play as much as possible. But like anything, when you're chasing at 1-0 down, you are absolutely apoplectic, aren't you? You're going mad thinking, "I'll just get the ball in place, stop time wasting." But when it's on the other way around, we're all cheering it on, ain't we? We're all saying, "Oh, that's great, Emmy, wind them up, mate. Get your yellow card, get your standard yellow." So it's one of them, isn't it? It's good when it's going for you, but it's not good when it's going against you. So I think there's got to be some kind of happy middle ground here to find our way into. And I think given after about 10 or 12 games, that's what will happen. I think we'll see gradually these 10, 12, 14-minute injury times coming down to more manageable 5 or 6 minutes. So, yeah, it's an interesting one, and I think it's probably needed, if I'm brutally honest.
Yes. So that's our first match preview done, ticked off. So absolutely loved it. Love being back. We are going to have a very, very in-depth chat on the predicted lineup, which will be out tomorrow, where I'm going to go into great detail on what our lineup is going to be and what I expect from both teams. So stay tuned for that one. The tactical pad will be out. Score prediction time then. Right. I would snap anybody's hand off for a 1-1 draw. I think if we can come out of this unbeaten without losing, I think that would be a great start to the season. On to Everton and then on to some European games. So yeah, I'm going draw. I think it'll be very, very tight. I think Eddie Howe will know that he's got to be wary of us, and I think it'll be very, very tight. And I'm going to go with a 1-0. My goal scorer is going to be DRB. Justin.
I can't start the season any other way, can I, mate? I'm sorry.
What you going with?
I genuinely think I think we can beat anybody on our day, and that's a fact now. That nobody can tell me any different that we can't beat anybody in this league on our day. So I'm hoping for a good start to the season. It will be difficult. They did play well against us, even though we got off to a good start in that America friendly. I do worry a little bit about that ball over the top. I'm hoping we can have learnt our lesson from that. I'm going to go for a 2-0 Villa win.
Oh, Harvey Barnes isn't going to get his goal he scores against
Nobody's
us.
going to get a goal against us.
Right, yeah.
Ollie
Love
Watkins, double.
Love it. Inject it. Right, so thank you. So we've got predicted lineup. We have got opposition preview. There's a great guest coming on the show. We've got press conference. We've got the brand new concept coming. We've got fan cams on Saturday after the game. We've then got match reaction, player ratings, debrief, and then the back full circle to do it again. Right, so cheers, everyone. If you are new, subscribe. Hope everyone likes the new little bit of branding, the first little background. We've got a couple more to come as well. On the thumbnail, you'll notice it's the old kits. We're waiting for the Premier League to drop the new kits. But apart from that, we are back. We didn't go away. Up the Villa.
Up the Villa. Come on.